Smart minds, welcome back to Logic Unlocked, where we decode logic in minutes. Today's question is Leetcode 73, set matrix zeros, a high frequency Amazon or Google problems. Okay, where we optimize space and solve it in place using the first row and column. Let's crack it. You're given a matrix that is M cross N matrix. If any cells contain zero, here, for suppose this, if any cells contain zero, you must set its entire row and the column. Okay, entire row and column without using extra memory. You should allot it to be zero like this. You should return it in this way. So a brute force solution takes extra space using two hash sets or arrays, but the optimal ones uses the first row and column as markers to track which row or column should be zeroed. We also use a separate flag or the first column, so because it overlaps with the top left, like here this is 0 comma 0 row will be overlapping, like it will be running for this and for this, so this one element would be overlapping. For that we'll be using separate flag, that's it. And that's the actual approach of this question. So let's get into this. It is an optimal high level idea or intuition. It is like if you find a zero in the matrix, you mark its row and column to be set to zero. But instead of using extra space, you use first row to mark which columns need to be zeroed. As you can see here, this is, let's get into the code straight away. This is a representation of a matrix vector. Like we want to keep our matrix into this. So vector we have used. Then next n is the rows, as you know that. And m is for columns. And here, hey guys, let's get into this intuition part and let's see how this code actually works. So always imagine a matrix like this. That is, row will be like 0, 1, 2. Okay, and the columns, so like 0, 1, 2, and we'll be imagining like this, 0, 1, 2, and columns will be like 0, 1, 2. This. So this way, if you imagine, it would be very easy to you to intuit in your own way. For example, if we consider the first element, it would be in the its position is at the 0th row and the 0th column. Got it? Then if we see this, it is in the 1 is at 0th row but first column. So 0 comma 1 we'll be imagining like this. Here the step 1 works like this. First we'll be traverse the matrix and mark first row and the column when 0 is found. See, we'll be going like this, like this, like this. Here we have found a 0. So it will assign that this row has to be done 0. It will be just marking 1. First row has to be done 0 no matter what, and it will also be marking first column has to be done 0 because we have found a 0. Just it will be marking in the first two loops. Then second step would be use these markers to set other cells to 0. So this is 0, this will be as it is, and it for setting the other zeros, other numbers to be zeros, this remaining rows and columns, this row digits and column digits to be 0, it will be setting, and if it will be marking at to be 0. Then third step and fourth step is about, we'll be taking about the first row and first column. Do you know why? We'll be going like this in the row. We'll be coming like this. But can you see we are overlapping the first element of this first row? Got it? We'll be overlapping here. So to avoid overlapping, we will be using two separate loops. Okay, we'll be taking one separate variable called call. In the code, I have used COL. That is a separate variable which is used to differentiate this. This is different and this is different. We need to check for two things. Okay. So yes, let's get into this. First, let's see this example. First step would be marking zeros. So found 0 at matrix 1, 1. That is first row and first column. As you can see at the first row and the first column, we have found a 0. So mark first, mark mat of 1 comma 0. That is 1 comma 0. Row, complete row to be 0. End. Mark 0 comma 1. That means this column to be 0. It's saying just it is marking in the code. Then use that markers and allot the zeros into it. See, we'll be getting this matrix. We'll be allotting zeros one by one. That is 1 comma 1 is like 0. Then check from 1 comma 1 to matrix 2 comma 2. And matrix 1 comma 1 is already 0. Then matrix 1 comma 2. That is first row, second column. First row, second column. This part would become to 0. Okay. Next, second row, first column. Okay. Second row, first column. That is this part would also become 0. Eventually this and this would become 0, as you can see the result here. Okay, handle the first row. To handle the first row, mat of 0 comma 0 is the first number. This is that. So it is not a 0. So don't touch the first row. It is not a 0. Here we can see that it is 1 actually. So it is not influenced because of this. This is only till here and here. So there is a no issue with this. So let it be. Next, handle first column. Column is equal to 1. We have assigned it. Okay. So change. No change. Why? Because it is already 1. So it is in the first column. So this is our output. Okay. Hope you have understood this intuition and right run. Make sure you get inside the logic, because it's not about simply but mugging up all the code and logic. Just get inside and understand what's actually happening inside this matrix. If you understand this one question, you will be able to do the spiral matrix and also rotate image to 90 degrees kind of matrix questions. You can easily deal with all the remaining kind of stuff. So let's quickly get into this code. So for here, okay, n is for columns and m is for rows. And here another variable we are using. I'll be telling you after getting deep into this. Let's go into the step one. Mark the rows and columns that needed to be zeroed. This is the step one. So first we'll be using two loops here. This is for n. N here we are using n, that is for columns, and m is for rows. And first row to mark which columns need to be zeroed. Okay, this is for. Then this is for first column to mark which rows need to be zeroed. This is for which columns is need to be zeroed. This is for which rows is need to be zeroed. Then if matrix ij is equals to 0, then just mark the row as to be 0. That's it. This is the marking of a row. Then j is not equal to 0, but we have found a 0 without j being a 0. So it is also marking a column. We are marking a column. Then let's get ahead. So else column is equals to 0. What is this? I said that a separate variable column col to track of the if the first column itself should be 0 or not. As I have told you, this here it overlaps. So we need to find this. To finding this, we'll be using another separate variable, and that variable is column here, col is equals to 0. First, let us imagine it to be 0, and then iterate a separate loop for that one particular number. Okay. So step 2 here is to use the marks to set inner matrix cells. Now after marking, what we'll be doing is we'll be assigning zeros in that market places. Okay, we'll be running a loop from I is equals to 1 and j is equals to 1, because we'll be leaving we'll be not doing from I is equals to 0 initially, because just we have marked it and we'll be leaving this. Okay, we'll be leaving this. We'll be starting from this place, that is 1 comma 1. Okay. uh okay, then we'll be checking whether if it is 0, it is marked 0 or not. We'll be checking it. Okay, then we'll be assigning inside it. This is about step 2. Step 3 is to handle the first row. To handle the first row, that means here this is 0 comma 0. Okay, if it is really 0, if it is really 0, we are checking for row. Okay, remember, row is different here, this is different here. Okay, row and this is a column, so we'll be checking first for row. If 0 comma 0 is 0 for this row, then assign it to be 0. Whole row will be 0. Okay, else if the column is also 0 here, if the column number is also 0 here, that is here, then assign it to be 0. Okay, this is the thing we are dealing the first here, first one. Okay. Okay, we'll be getting into our intuition, like how will be I'll be displaying an image here. You check it how we'll be considering a matrix. Okay, by that you can be able to understand and imagine what it is happening inside a matrix. Okay, we'll be using ij as a rows and columns, how we'll be using it and what. So don't worry about it, you can understand. Just watch it once again if you're still in a confusion. There's no issue in it. So yep.